Hello, it's Roger Newcomb with We Love Soaps TV. I'm here with Mimi Torchin at the Save Our Soaps rally. Mimi, you founded Soap Opera Weekly.
I did.
You've seen this genre change and a lot of shows go away over the years.
Yes.
Do you think that, daytime soaps can be viable? Maybe not the existing shows, but do you think that the genre can continue in the daytime at all?
You know, I saw a lot of great soaps come and go, and I mean great soaps, and I predicted at one point that maybe 10 years from now the soaps would all be gone because there was a dwindling audience. Not so much a dwindling audience, but you know, my big complaint is that the false demographic, the god of demographics,
right,
is what's ruining all of television. They don't count households. They don't count anybody who's over 49 years old. They don't think we have any money, we have any influence. I mean, first of all, this is the baby boomer generation. We own the world, okay? So screw you demographics, if I can say that. And that's part of, they don't count many people who are viable viewers. And let's face it, it's hard to get kids to watch soaps. Their lives are too full of life. They have too much to do. They watch on maybe they'll watch on their computers, maybe they'll watch on their iPads, but you can't judge who's watching with Nielsen ratings anymore. That's another outmoded way of measuring viewership. So I think that since the networks all seem to believe that that's what the truth is, I don't think soaps can exist. I think wine, R&B, and B will hold on for a while because they have their foreign markets. But I think the networks, the people in the business of soaps, don't want to spend the money. They don't want to have the trouble of bothering with actors. Let's face it, actors have demands. They're artists. You can't handle them like reality show people who are paid to act like asses. So it's an expensive medium, although I think Guiding Light's model was wonderful. I loved the reality of it. I loved the way it felt that you were actually watching something happening live. No, I don't think soaps can exist as they do today, but I do think there's a place for them on the web. I think there's a place for them on cable. I think the models have to be shrunk. I think the actors everybody involved has to take less money. Everything is about the bottom line, and soaps cost a lot of money to make.
Wow, you made like 25 great points that I was thinking of things to say. And in terms of the Nielsen's, 21,000 people or 21,000 Nielsen homes represent all of America.
I know.
In 2011, it seems like that's not a very good system.
It's an insanely ridiculous, inaccurate way to measure who is watching anything. I guess they have to have some way to do it, but it's a shame that we have to lose. I'm losing all my favorite new primetime soaps, as usual. You know, I'm loath to commit to anything anymore on television because, I mean, a lot of my favorite shows were in the top 10. They still were axed. I think soaps have been on the chopping block for a long time. I think this is wonderful. I like to see everybody out and airing their grievances, but I think that ABC and Disney could care less about soap opera, couldn't care less about the soap opera fan.
Well, I think it's weird because the daytime soaps, I agree, it seems like there's a different group of people at primetime because today we're at the ABC Upfronts. They have 3 returning soaps, Desperate Housewives, Grey's Anatomy, Private Practice. They have 6 new soaps coming in the new season. So an ABC Family, for example, it's like the new home for primetime soaps.
Well, let's face it, almost all of primetime is soap opera. I've been saying that for, 20 years, because it started with NYPD Blue, and in the last 10 years, everything except for even reality shows are soap operas now. They all have a continuing storyline. They all have characters that you care about, that go from week to week to week to week. Even if it's a show, there's very few that don't have continuing stories for their primary cast. I mean, the Law and Orders, the CSIs, they're pretty much independent. But every other drama on television is a soap opera.
Even 30 Rock.
Every other show on television.
Archer, a cartoon soap.
Every other show on television is a soap opera. So let's face it, you need a soap fix. You don't have time to watch 5 days a week. You want to see really stunning production values. You have them at night. You don't need to get that involvement with somebody's life that you used to get from soap operas. It's not the same thing. We've watched people be born, live their lives, and die on soap operas, played by a very few number of actors. Once they've been sore-assed into adulthood, my term, by the way, I invented sore-ass, okay? Soap opera rapid aging syndrome. And once they've reached a certain age, sometimes those characters play that character for 20 to 25 to 30 to 40 years. So you can't get that same thing as feeling like you're a part of their family, but you can get the involvement of a week-to-week storyline that'll keep you hanging on for the next week.
There's so many people that go into deciding what actually gets on the air. I mean, for me as a soap fan, I don't feel like they're all consistently good at this point, and I wonder, would anything be different maybe if they were kind of telling stories that could go viral?
You mean the soaps?
Yeah, daytime
absolutely.
soaps.
Daytime is still living in the 50s or 60s. I think that right now my favorite story is Shane's bullying story on One Life to Live.
Right.
It's current, it's what's happening in the world today. Erica being, kidnapped by someone who looks, sounds, breathes, moves, has her movements down perfectly, because as we know, it's the same actress. That doesn't work for me anymore. Switching baby records, that doesn't work for me. That hasn't worked for me for 15 years. I don't think it's worked for the fans for 15 years. You have to do things that are current. You have to figure out a way. I remember asking someone why they didn't do stories about what's happening now. They say, well, because we shoot sometimes 2 to 3 weeks in advance, and by that time it could be over. I said, okay, well, you don't have to pick something that's current, only for this week, but the stock market crash, the Bernie Madoffs, which Damages did so brilliantly.
Right.
Pick something that's happening now. Do more people coming home from the war. Do an Army Wives kind of storyline. Do something that means something to people now. Do people losing their homes. Do them losing their jobs and getting desperate. There's so much domestic abuse in the world, and we see so little of it on daytime. I'll never forget the one with Lenore and I can't remember her character's last name, but on All My Children, who was involved with Joe. One of the only real significant domestic abuse storylines. You have to tap into the heart of people, the soul, what their lives are about, not these ridiculous coming back from the dead soap opera conventions. They do have to change.
Right, and that's why it kind of hurts me to see the genre go away. And there's been a natural erosion with all these channels, but not at its best. Like, I would love to be able to not fight for the genre or fight for certain characters, but just say the writing is so good on this show. But I can't say that necessarily.
Well,
and it's sad.
It has been good, though. I think One Life to Live has been pretty interesting. It's what that and Young and Restless are the only two shows I still watch every day, since it's not my job anymore. And I'm sorry to say that. I do pop in on All My Children. I watch B&B occasionally because it's fun. Here now is Brooke and Ridge, the son, the daughter. Oh God, again? I don't think they still have any gay people on Bold and Beautiful. And it's about the fashion industry, people. No gays in the fashion industry.
It's sad that it's like the soap that takes place in a real town, but yet it's so unrealistic.
Well, they're like in bubbles, and we got to burst that bubble and let real life come into the soaps, and because there's too much real life everywhere. Real life itself is too compelling now to be watching silly old tired cliches on soap operas.
Now, a lot of the web shows have been more contemporary. They have more diverse casts and more diverse and current storylines. Do you think any of those could translate onto TV and become successful?
Sure. Why not? I think, I don't have time to watch most of them, but I do check in on many of them. Of course, I watch Venice, which I'm very excited about because Jill Laurie Hurst is writing for the show this year.
And they're up for an Emmy next month.
I'm telling you, the show is going to grow in leaps and bounds in this next season because Jill is a wonderful writer and a wonderful storyteller. I do think so. I think they're contemporary. You can't tell much of a story in 10 or 12 minutes, but I do think that a half hour, I think if the soaps all scaled back to a half an hour, I think if they would have done that a couple of years ago, they would have had a much longer life. There's too much filler. We can tell plenty of story in 18 or 20 minutes, and the web soaps can do that. They can give you 20, 25 minutes, do all their advertising at the end, do subscriptions, whatever it is. And I think then they can once they've established themselves, they could definitely move to network television. If you still want to be on network television, go to cable. Go to one of the cable networks.
Mad Men has 1.5 million viewers, and it's a hit.
Absolutely, they don't expect so much, and also they have brilliant programming. I watch a lot, well, of cable programs. I watch a lot of everything. I'm a complete and utter. I'm a drama addict. I'm not much of a fan of comedies, but I do love dramas, and I do get something emotionally from them. I don't know what it is. I have a great full life, but I've always gotten some kind of an emotional fix from primetime dramas. Not the same thing I ever got from soaps. Soaps I enjoyed. Soaps I just loved because of what they meant in the world. How amazing it was that they could do these stories every day for years and years and years. I loved the idea of following a character from birth to death, practically. It was amazing.
Well, they were so current. I remember in the late 80s, there were like 4 AIDS storylines going roughly at the same time, and I just can't imagine them telling those kind of stories today.
Well, first of all, the networks have gotten religiously right. Everybody cares too much about political correctness, about not offending anyone. I mean, they reversed Erica's abortion. How can you have any confidence or trust in a show that takes a landmark storyline that was written up in all the history books and say it never happened because it's politically incorrect now? It makes me sick. You know, I stopped giving money to Channel 13 because they wouldn't say the word asshole when they did Company. They did Company. Stephen Sondheim. They did there's a line. There's a whole thing in it where one of the characters tells this very funny story, and she's an airline stewardess, and she's very sweet. And at the end, she yells, "I'm a human being too, you asshole!" And they bleeped it out. And in the next segment, they had a cartoon, and there were people lying on a beach, and they put bubbles on animated characters' butts. I don't know how you live in a society like this. I don't know how you. I stopped. This is why. Don't call me Channel 13 anymore, okay? Until you can say the word asshole. Until I can see breasts in Africa in specials again, and until you won't put bubbles over an animated character's ass. You ain't getting my money, okay? And that's what's ruining our culture.
All right, thank you, Mimi, so much.